Right, well, in the last video I showed you how to do a generic tree with the light and the dark, and now we're going to try and put some into here. When you're putting trees into your picture, it's far best if they appear natural, if they've grown naturally. So if you have very tall straight trees, yes, I mean I've seen good paintings where the trees are very, very rigid and upright, but for this case we want them to feel like they've grown, that they've been blown around a bit and things. So if you can make them so they curve, and then this flattened S is a good shape, because obviously the tree's grown, it's realised it's going a bit far over that way, and it's started to grow back round. So we're going to put a couple of lines in, just very, very lightly, just to give ourselves an idea of how high we want to make the trees, because you do not want to end up with a tree right up here out of your picture, or right down here very small, and the perspective would be all wrong. So you're giving yourself a little bit of information, but again using a cheap ordinary HB pencil. Now what you do is to take out some of the paint. Now to do this you need some water, and you're going to literally wash the shape out. Now you'll never get rid completely of what's underneath, but that really doesn't matter, because by the time you put your texture in and various other things, that will all get covered up. I'm going to use a tissue, and I'm just going to blot right down there, and I'll do my second one while I'm at it. Now if there's been a week or so between doing the water and putting this tree in, you might find that it's not quite so easy to take out the paint. And you can see I'm going backwards and forwards over it with this water, and when I think I've loosened it enough, then I get a bit of a tissue. Really you need plenty of tissue with you. You know, I'm using one little piece, which isn't a good idea, because you could actually lift off some paint and print it down on the next dab, you know, which is not what you're after. Okay, so I've got the shape basically, and I'm just going to take a little one off there because it's looking a little fake, if you like. Right, okay, now you go back in with your colours, and if you remember we took some strong colour down one edge. Okay, take it all the way down, we'll lose it in the ground later. Then I'm going to clean my brush, just use fresh water, I'm going to take it down the middle and leave tiny little touches of light where I haven't touched the paper, and I'll clean my brush again and just come down the other outside with just basically water, and you can pull it across. Okay, so I'm going to do that with just a couple of these two trees. And do this one as well while I'm there. Quickly wash my brush and take that down the middle, wash my brush again, and you can see that I'm fading it off up here for a very good reason. You don't want it strong, you don't want it too big up the top, because you're going to put small branches in. You don't worry about any details at the moment, just lose that in there. So you've got that shape. If it's too brown, in this case I feel like I probably would like to make it a little darker than that down the side, then you can do that. You can add a little with this very fine brush, you can add a bit of strength to it so it naturally blends into your picture much better. Okay, play around with it a bit like we did with the other one, where we're putting in knots. Well, you can't really do that much detail in this because they're too fine. So Now we go on to the smaller branches. Now you've got to sort of realise just how far you want to go on this painting. You know, you don't want the tree heading off up here and here, around here. You want to keep it in this area. You could actually give yourself some little border lines if you know, tending to no, I've made that a bit strong there, which isn't very good, but never mind, we'll get around that. And these branches are going to come right off, and they're going to try and fade them out. They shouldn't get thicker. That one's got thicker, but anyway, we'll soon hide that. And there's a brush called a rigger, which is quite a nice brush to have. It's like very fine brush like this, but it's got quite long hair on it, and it's ideal for these small sort of branches. So if you remember, I said come off at different angles. Cut across, go over what you've already done, and you just keep working away at these. And if it starts to look more natural, you know, you can make them a little thicker at the as they appear out of the main stem. And so I'm not going to do too many of these at the moment, because it will take up too much of the video time, but you can see what you've got to do. You've got to build them up, and if, as I said, you can turn the board round and work upside down around here, but give yourself know where you're going to finish. So you know you're going from one thick stem to something, you know, maybe a bit thicker, and then finally this very fine one, and let your brush just fade off. You know, you can actually start loosening up and putting in little marks like this, so you're beginning to sort of fill it all up. Okay, and that needs to be done all around there. You can take your time over it, because nothing is drying that you know, you need to do quickly. So what we'll do now in the next video is move on. We'll put some more details down the front here, and I'll try and get these branches done before we do the next video, which will include looking at more detail down here and how to make this foreground sort of really work for you. Okay, so I think at this moment in time we'll leave that to dry for a little bit, and see you in the next video. Bye.